Audi's third generation Q5 mid to large sized premium SUV offers a tech-led solution for customers in this segment still not quite ready for a full EV. The understated high quality feel of previous models is retained and the cabin really is state of the art. So if you can afford this Audi, you'd probably like one. My name's Jonathan Crouch. I've been testing cars for over 40 years. You'll find them all on the Car and Driving Car Reviews app. Here, I'm going to try and tell you everything that you really need to know about this car in a way that you'll find nowhere else. Let me hand you over to our presenter, Colin.
Audi's third generation Q5 is a premium, larger SUV that's really improved. Here, we'll take a closer look. Three models dominate the executive mid to large section of the premium badged SUV sector, and this is one of them, Audi's Q5. It's long-faced stiff competition from its two arch rivals, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLC, but looks stronger against them in this third generation form. The Q5 has been a success story for Audi, and even at the end of its life, the second generation version accounted for 17% of the brand's global sales in 2023. That Mexican-built Type8R model was first launched in 2017 to replace the original Type8R Q5, introduced in 2008, that shared much of its design with the first Porsche Macan. This third generation design was announced in autumn 2024 and is tasked with transitioning customers up to the 2035 Euro ban on combustion engines. There's no EV version, that option's covered by the Q6 e-tron. Electrification is dealt with instead by a range of mild hybrids that still include a diesel, and there's a PHEV version as well. As before, there's the body style choice of either this SUV model or a sleeker sportback version, which we've covered in a separate film. Both body shapes are mounted on the new premium platform combustion chassis that also undergirds the brand's latest A5 and A6 models. But with a new era version of the BMW X3 to contend with and a continuing strong challenge from the Mercedes GLC, the end result needs to be good. We'll find out here if it is. You can find out more about this kind of model by downloading the Car and Driving app. And if you're interested specifically in this Q5 SUV, stay with us for the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test. Customers of premium upper mid-sized SUVs don't typically tend to prioritise an involving driving experience. And if they do, they don't tend to choose this one. Yet, if for you driving enjoyment lies with a lowering rather than a raising of the heartbeat, you might really appreciate what Audi's tried to do with this third generation Q5. The engines on offer here are pretty familiar, and as before, all versions come with Quattro four-wheel drive and 7-speed dual-clutch S-tronic auto transmission. What's new is that it all sits on completely redesigned underpinnings, the PPC or Premium Platform Combustion Chassis we've already seen in the current generation A5. Development of new combustion-based fundamentals here tells you everything about how long Audi thinks the EV revolution will take to get into full swing. As for those engines, well, perhaps the most surprising news is that one of the mainstream ones is still a diesel. The EA288 Evo generation 2-litre TDI unit we're trying here really is exceptionally quiet. You really have to concentrate to realise that it is a diesel. This unit develops the same 204 PS output as the alternative 2-litre TFSI petrol power plant, but quite a lot more torque, 400 newton meters as opposed to 340, which will be of interest to towers who will be pleased to know that it can lug along up to 2,400 kilos. They won't be so interested in the continuing top SQ5 sporty model, because now that isn't a diesel. The old 3-litre TDI V6 unit now swapped for a 3-litre TFSI petrol V6 that produces 367 PS and a gutsy 550 newton meters of torque. That SQ5 makes 62 miles an hour in 4.5 seconds en route to 155. The mainstream 2-litre models make 62 miles an hour in just over 7 seconds en route to 140 miles an hour. All the mainstream engines are now aided by the brand's MHEV Plus mild hybrid system, which is different from the old MHEV setup in that, in addition to the usual system integrated starter generator, there's also a second centrally mounted powertrain generator. The result is dramatically increased levels of regenerative braking and consequently, in theory at least, a bit more of a positive impact on efficiency. As we'll tell you in our cost section, the technology promises rather more than it actually delivers. So, if you're looking for a really efficient kind of Q5, it might be worth stretching to a more sophisticated kind of hybrid system, like that's offered by the e-hybrid PHEV version. Unlike rivals Mercedes, Audi only offers its plug-in hybrid setup with petrol power, and as with other green pump 4-cylinder Q5 models, it's based around the usual 2-litre TFSI turbo unit, the associated 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch auto gearbox, and the brand's Quattro 4-wheel drive system. If you remember the previous generation Q5 PHEV, then you'll also recall that old TFSI E model didn't go very far on battery power between charges. This time round, things are much better thanks to a battery that's 45% larger. It's now 25.9 kilowatt hours in size, though only 20.7 kilowatt hours of that is actually usable, which is why EV drive range has jumped from 38 to 61 miles, or up to 70 miles in city-only driving. The kind of level that really could see you regularly using a Q5 e-hybrid, much like an EV for suburban journeys. This PHEV Q5 isn't any faster than it was before. Total output still rated at 299 PS, with 450 Newton meters of torque, allowing for 0 to 62 miles an hour in 6.2 seconds, en route to 155 miles an hour. With all powertrains, Audi says that drive dynamics have been improved with this latest generation Q5. For a start, there's now a wider Audi Drive Select mode spread between comfort and dynamic. The other settings are balanced, efficiency and off-road. We can't imagine you'll be using off-road very much. The steering now features the brand's variable assistance progressive system, though still isn't particularly feelsome, so you probably won't want to be throwing this car about through your favourite back doubles. Unless, of course, you're in the top SQ5, which comes with a slightly differently tuned helm and Quattro drivetrain, and a rear sport differential for extra cornering traction. On more conventional Q5s, Audi's always been much better at ride quality, and that continues here, even with the standard passive suspension arrangement, which now features a frequency selective damping setup, able to adapt automatically to different surfaces. Adaptive damping comes only if you stretch to the air suspension system that we're trying here. This is an option if you avoid base trim, or at the very summit of the range comes as standard with the top SQ5 variant. It's well worth having if you value a supple ride, and will be particularly welcome if you specify this Audi with the larger 20 or 21-inch wheels. Audi says this third-generation Q5 has become even sportier. You might perhaps think that of the alternative SUV coupe sportback version of this car, but this standard SUV model remains, like its predecessor, a somewhat conservative but confident piece of penmanship. A taut, high shoulder line connects the front and rear lights and aims to make the car look larger. Above the sill, a rising line runs over the wheel arches and into the rear bumper, which is supposed to give this Q5 a dynamic appearance even when stationary. As is the trend, the big arches house big rims from 19 to 21 inches in size. We've got 20-inch wheels here. Whether you will be enamoured of the front-end styling depends on how much you like the latest brand of Audi design language. It certainly makes the previous generation car look conservative, The broad single-frame grille set high and flanked by these enormous black corner cutout sections that incorporate functional air curtains. Audi describes these frowning LED headlamps as razor-sharp and sculptural. They can, of course, incorporate the intelligent matrix technology we have fitted here. With minimal lines, the rear has a crisp design, though Audi won't be quite so pleased if, like us, you think that it's rather reminiscent of a previous generation MGHS. There's smooth surfacing, a subtle roof spoiler, and the usual Audi full-width light strip. What the brand calls this car's diffuser is this lower latticed dark plastic panel integrated into the raised bumper in a way that Audi thinks creates what it calls an island effect. The positioning and shape of the tailpipes depends on the engine. A functional double square tailpipe under the diffuser on the left-hand side for a Q5 with diesel power like this one, or rectangular tailpipes, one on either side for all petrol engines. The SQ5 gets its own twin round tailpipe design. As usual, of course, what's more important is what you can't see. The more electrified premium platform combustion underpinnings that mark out this new era model. Right, time to take a look inside. There are no pop-out door handles to greet you as you approach. That wouldn't be very Audi, but the concealed touch buttons under the handles really are. And as usual, you can specify a digital key feature that'll allow you to unlock the car with your smartphone. This is a very different kind of Q5 cabin compared to what went before. Whether you'll think it better depends, of course, on your perspective. As with the current A5, this interior gets the brand's new generation soft wrap design that extends from the doors around a main dashboard sculpted in a digital stage shape, supposed to resemble the single-frame grille. As part of this, an 11.9-inch digital instrument display blends into a 14.5-inch curved control infotainment touchscreen. Options, both fitted here, include a head-up display and a smaller 10.9-inch screen for the passenger side, which has a clever polarised filter so the driver can't be distracted by what's on it. As we said when we first tried this new style of interior design in the Q6 e-tron, the way the expansive screen curves around you is appealing. But lower down, the wide swathe of glossy piano black plastic that surrounds the EV-style gear selector and the unlidded cup holders on the centre console isn't. Why are car brands so attracted to this kind of shiny surfacing? It's easy to scratch and smudge, and you're constantly having to wipe it for dust. It even features on this little square smart door panel, to which, for some reason, the lighting switches have been relocated. Overall, the quality of materials used around this interior, like the edges to the lower centre console or this indented mid-level fascia covering, just doesn't feel as class-leading and special as previous Audi cabins used to. Still, there's certainly more technology. Borrowing a feature we've seen on various VW Group EVs, this generation Q5 can feature an optional dynamic interaction light, an ambient lighting strip at the top of the dashboard that highlights things like indicator, phone and safety functions. Ideally, you'd want that. Premium touches include dashboard double stitching and the smartly finished door speakers for the optional Bang & Olufsen high-end sound system, plus sustainable and vegan materials feature throughout. In terms of overall ergonomics, though, it's hard to avoid the feeling that Audi cabins have regressed in user friendliness. There are now no physical climate controls, and these irritatingly fiddly touch-sensitive steering wheel buttons will have anyone who owned a Q5 from the last decade wishing for the tactile provision of that previous model's lower MMI controller. The only thing we do like about them is the provision on the right-hand spoke of this really useful star button that's a one-shot route to turning the traffic sign-based speed warning off. Earlier, we mentioned the instrument display, the conventional sighting of which we suppose we should be thankful for as an alternative to having everything crammed in Tesla-like on some enormous central monitor. There is a bit of Tesla-style tech here, though, in the virtual central display that above a digital speed readout shows other vehicles around you as you drive. If you're used to the old Audi virtual cockpit style of screen dial design, you'll find this Audi Virtual Cockpit Plus OLED display a bit different. It certainly doesn't feel quite as configurable as the old setup. It can now no longer show nav mapping, for instance. All you can do is vary what you see in boxes that flank the central graphic. The one on the left shows trip data, the one on the right is for nav instructions, audio selections or phone settings. Everything else you'll need is on this high-resolution MMI Navigation Plus centre screen display. This OLED Android Automotive OS-based setup is a product of the brand's newly developed electronic architecture E3 tech, which is supposed to allow customers to experience vehicle digitalisation more directly than was ever possible in an Audi before. Much of this 14.5-inch screen's real estate is taken up by permanently displaying functions, climate controls along the bottom, and 2 rows of shortcut features to the right. You can decide how to populate the rest of the space. We've got radio settings and mapping for the 3D navigation system here. Swipe left for an analog clock, drive select settings and phone functions. We're thankful for a physical volume control too. Drill down into what's on offer with this curved monitor and it's all very advanced. You get wondrous graphics and there's a self-learning Audi voice assistant used to control numerous vehicle functions which understands more than 800 voice commands. Plus there's Alexa functionality, regular over-the-air updates, a wireless smartphone interface and a store section that gives customers access to a wide range of apps. This is basically a new era of infotainment provision with features like a web browser that could, for instance, allow your passenger to reserve a hotel room for you through booking.com as you drive to your destination, all through the touch screen. This monitor also comes with the option we have here of a thumping 3D Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. As mentioned earlier, your Q5 can feature this third 10.9-inch screen in front of the passenger. A nice thing to have perhaps if someone else is paying, but a feature you might struggle to see the point of. You might like the fact that you can add apps to it like Amazon Music or YouTube, so films can be watched by the passenger on a long trip, but there are no climate controls and pretty much all the stuff on this extra monitor is duplicated by the centre screen. What else? Well, the driver's seat is supportive and aligns nicely with the controls, but if you pull the wheel down to its lowest setting, it can obscure the top of the instrument display. Frontward visibility is good, but your back view is slightly obscured by the rear headrests and the small tailgate screen, so you'll need the standard rear view camera and sensors. As for practicality, well, there's a big glove box, but small door bins. This shallow illuminated box between the seats has a ratcheting top that acts as an armrest. And there's an open area where the centre console meets the dashboard, including a wireless phone mat near a 12-volt socket. Twin USB ports are nearby as well, but unfortunately they're both USB-C, so you'll probably have to use an unsightly converter lead. Now, you might expect a 4.7 metre SUV to be quite spacious in the rear. But it doesn't really work out like that. Though there's plenty of space to slide your feet beneath the front seats, knee room isn't that great, so it's disappointing that this back seat sliding base and reclining backrest, which Audi calls its rear bench seat plus arrangement, continues to be absent with base sport trim. As for ceiling space, well, this is where you get the benefit of choosing your Q5 with this SUV body style rather than the alternative sportback version. This more conventional SUV version has 80mm more headroom. As for sitting someone in the middle, well, for the most part, you can forget it. Even if we weren't in this current era of flat floor EVs, this central transmission tunnel would still seem ridiculously high. We can't see how you'd fit a central seated occupant in unless they were of school age. Despite these rear quarter-light windows, it can feel a little bit dark in here, unless you paid extra for a glass roof. And all the usual provisions feature netted seat back pockets, overhead reading lights, twin USB-C ports, rear climate controls and vents, decent door bins, and an armrest with cup holders. We'll finish as usual with a look in the boot. Now, the powered tailgate rises to reveal 520 litres of boot space in conventionally engined Q5 models, which is just 5 litres more than you get with the alternative sportback version when measured from boot floor to parcel shelf. Obviously, though, this SUV version will cope better than the Sportback with bulkier items. Bear in mind that in the e-hybrid PHEV form, this car offers only 438 litres of space. For reference, a rival Mercedes GLC has a 620-litre boot, a figure which falls to 470 litres in PHEV form. It's a sensibly sized space accessed over this somewhat impractically silver-covered loading lip. Recesses either side mean things like golf bags can be easily stowed widthwise. There's a deep well beneath the floor where the optional stowage nets can sit, and you get a netted area on the left, 4 floor tie-downs, an elasticated strap on the left, also a bag hook on the right, and a useful inner tailgate light for nighttime loading. If you've paid the extra for adaptive air suspension, you get these useful little switches here on the left to lower the load height to more easily lump in heavy loads. If you need more space, it'll be of huge benefit if you've got a rear bench that can slide forward with a backrest that can be put in a more upright position. Whatever kind of Q5 you have, because the rear backrest is conveniently split 40-20-40, you can fold down its middle section for the carriage of longer items like skis. If you need to flatten everything, you can do so via these cargo sidewall catches and create up to 1,473 litres of space with conventionally engined versions of this Q5 SUV, which is 58 litres more than the equivalent Sportback version. You'll get 1,358 litres with the e-hybrid version. At the time of our test in autumn 2025, prices for the Q5 in this SUV form were starting from just over £52,000, rising to around £78,000 for the top SQ5 version. The mainstream Sportback variants attract a £2,500 premium. As usual with Audi, the mainstream trim choices are Sport, S-Line and Top Edition 1. And most customers choose S-Line spec, which requires an extra £2,600 above base Sport trim. You'll need to find 1,650 more to go from the base 2-litre TFSI petrol engine to the 2-litre TDI diesel that we're trying here. At the time of our test, prices for the e-hybrid PHEV model were starting from just over £58,000. You'll want some value perspective on that. Most likely customers will be most directly comparing this car to its two arch rivals, the BMW X3 and the Mercedes GLC. You won't be able to do that if you're looking at a conventional TFSI engine petrol Q5, because Mercedes doesn't do a GLC that's directly comparable. The equivalent X3, the 20X drive, is only a few £100 less. As for this diesel Q5, well, an equivalent X3 is fractionally less, and an equivalent Mercedes GLC 200D fractionally more, but there's not much in it. As for the PHEV, well, BMW matches the cost of a Q5 e-hybrid with its plug-in hybrid X3. You'd need around £1,500 more for the equivalent Mercedes GLC. As for other premium badged upper mid-sized SUVs of this size, well, there's Volvo's XC60 starting from around £50,000. While at the time of this test, you could still also choose a combustion Porsche Macan, which requires the same kind of £55,000 starting spend as might get you a Range Rover Velar. If you're happy restricting yourself to the kind of petrol full hybrid the German makers can't offer, there's also the Lexus NX, which starts from only around £45,000. If, having considered all of that, you conclude that it is this Audi that you really want, then you're going to need to know just how generous the Ingolstadt brand has been with standard spec this time round. So let's take a look at that now. Base Sport trim gets you 19-inch 5 twin-spoke design alloy wheels, LED headlights with high beam assist, an acoustic windscreen, a powered hatch or tailgate, an anti-theft alarm and LED tail lamps with dynamic indicators. Drive stuff includes progressive steering, adaptive cruise control, Audi Drive Select modes and a Park Assist Plus system that automatically steers you into tight spaces. Nice touches include an efficiency assist system that uses GPS data to tailor the car's speed for turns and junctions, and systems that adapt your speed to prevailing limits and the route ahead. Inside with Sport Spec, there's heated front sport seats in twin leather upholstery, 3-zone automatic climate control, 30 colour ambient lighting, wireless charging for 2 phone handsets, and an 11.9-inch Audi Virtual Cockpit Plus OLED instrument display. Infotainment's covered off by a 14.5-inch MMI Navigation Plus high-resolution OLED centre screen with 3D mapping, Audi Assistant 2 voice control, and 3-year subscription for the many Audi Connect navigation and infotainment services, which include the Audi application store and screen themes. There's also an 8-speaker, 180-watt Audi sound system and a rear-view camera with a 360-degree Parking System Plus display. To this tally, S-Line trim adds larger 20-inch 5-arm alloy wheels, S-Line exterior styling with volcano grey S-Line bumpers, rear privacy glass and lowered S-Sport suspension. Inside with the Q5 S-Line model, you get stainless steel pedals, a black cloth headliner, a bespoke S-branded steering wheel, S-branded door trims and matte brushed aluminium interior inlays. The front seats are S-branded too, and there's the usual no-cost option of lighter coloured upholstery if you want it. Probably the key S-Line feature, though, is the rear seat bench plus sliding rear bench. If you can stretch to top Edition 1 spec, you'll get yourself a version of this car equipped with 21-inch 5 twin-spoke Audi Sport wheels featuring red brake calipers, along with matrix LED headlamps that have active digital light signatures, dark chrome tailpipes and a darker exterior look courtesy of the brand's Black Styling Package Plus. Edition 1 spec also gets you upholstery in a combination of leather and suede-like Dynamica, and a top-view surround camera system, a digital key that'll allow you to lock and start the car with your phone, a 10.9-inch MMI passenger side display screen, power adjustable front seats with memory settings, Dynamica cabin trim, and a few extra active safety features which we'll cover off for you in a moment. The top SQ5 model does, of course, have its own bespoke spec. The Edition 1 version of that variant includes all the Edition 1 features we've just mentioned and a lot else besides. There's 21-inch multi-spoke Audi Sport alloy wheels, S exterior styling, digital OLED taillights, S adaptive air suspension, and a switchable transparency panoramic sunroof. Inside, with SQ5 trim, you get fine Napa leather upholstered power adjustable front seats with ventilation and a massage function. The brand's ambient lighting package plus with its dash top dynamic interaction light, and a heated steering wheel with power adjustment. There's also a head-up display, rear seat heating, the 10.9-inch MMI front passenger touch display, and a 3D Bang & Olufsen premium sound system. What about options? Well, your Audi Centre is going to want you to consider paying around £2,200 extra for the sound and vision pack, which gets you some of the niceties we just mentioned with the SQ5 spec, the Bang & Olufsen 3D sound system, the head-up display, and the more advanced ambient lighting package with its dynamic interaction light. Avoid base trim, and you'll also be offered the opportunity to spend £1,725 more on the adaptive air suspension system that we've been trying here. What else? Well, a useful optional storage and luggage compartment package adds various useful cabin storage features and includes the rear seat bench plus sliding rear seat for the sport spec model buyers who would otherwise have to do without it. Across the range, you can also add the panoramic glass roof, while practical extras include a retractable tow bar and roof rails, which you'll need for the roof crossbars necessary for things like roof boxes and ski racks. There's also an alternative graphite grey finished 19-inch wheel design. Bear in mind that unless you order your Q5 with the only standard colour, solid Arcona white, you'll need to budget at least £725 more for your choice of paint colour. We've got a somewhat fetching metallic district green here. On to safety. Now, all the usual camera driver assistance safety systems you'd expect are, of course, included. In this case, that means front emergency brake assist, lane departure warning, front cross traffic intersection assist, swerve assist and front turn assist, and advanced driver attention and fatigue monitor and traffic sign recognition that facilitates an intelligent speed limiter with speed warning. You also get distraction and distance warning, and even a traffic light information feature that enables the car to tailor its speed to forthcoming sets of urban traffic lights. Plus, of course, all the usual eCall system-linked airbags, including front side airbags with a head airbag system and a front interaction airbag. If you want more, an Edition 1 or SQ5 model comes with an emergency assist system that'll bring the car to a controlled stop if you get taken ill at the wheel, along with rear cross traffic assist, rear turn assist and lane change assistance. There are also 3 features Audi really ought to have standardised across the Q5 range: an exit warning system that prevents occupants opening their doors into the face of oncoming traffic, occupant detection in the rear seat area, and side assist blind spot detection. This top level of spec also includes proactive passenger protection system for front, sides and rear, and a higher standard of airbag protection with side airbags in the front and rear with a head airbag system and a front interaction airbag. Let's get to the efficiency figures. Well, the 2-litre TFSI petrol Q5 manages up to 40.4 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 159 grams per kilometre of CO2, which matches the class standard and is pretty close to what you get from an equivalent A5 Sportback or Avant. Obviously, to get close to the stated figures, you'll need to regularly engage the most frugal drive mode, which is efficiency. And what about the diesel version that we're trying here? Well, with this TDI, we'd hoped that the efficiency figures might have done a bit more than merely match the class standard. After all, like its petrol counterpart, this engine now features Ingolstadt's much trumpeted MHEV Plus mild hybrid system, which adds a clever powertrain generator, the PTG, which can feed up to 24 PS of electric power to the output of the combustion engine. When decelerating, the PTG feeds energy back into the battery at up to 25 kilowatts. And as a result, purely electric manoeuvring and parking are possible, as well as dramatically increased levels of regenerative braking. As usual with these things, it all sounds very good, but when you drill right down to the figures, it turns out that all the MHEV Plus system has done is not quite bring the readings of this VW Group 2-litre TDI engine up to match the class standard. This Q5 TDI manages up to 47 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 158 grams per kilometre. For comparison, a rival Mercedes GLC 220D, with its more straightforward mild hybrid tech, manages up to 53.3 mpg and 139 grams per kilometre. For some reason, Audi's decided that the top petrol SQ5 should also have the MHEV Plus mild hybrid system, and so equipped, this flagship model manages up to 34.1 mpg on the combined cycle and up to 188 grams per kilometre of CO2. For real efficiency in a Q5 Sportback, as we told you in our driving section, you've to look at the PHEV petrol e-hybrid model. The efficiency figures here aren't as outlandish as they usually are with plug-in hybrids, but they're probably a great deal closer to stats you might get somewhere near in day-to-day motoring when fully charged. Audi quotes up to 111.3 mpg on the combined cycle and a CO2 figure of up to 58 grams per kilometre of CO2. To get close to those figures, you'd have to get proactive with the e-hybrid model's 3-level brake energy recuperation system, which can recover up to 88 kilowatts of power and feed it into the HEV battery. As for plugging this PHEV variant in, well, charging power is much better than the old TFSI e-plug-in hybrid system could provide. Increase from 2-phase 7.4 kilowatts to 3-phase 11 kilowatts, if you can use that. With a 3-phase supply, you could completely recharge the Q5 e-hybrid model's battery in 2.5 hours. With a single phase, 7.4 kilowatt wall box, you'd need just under 4 hours. When you're out and about, you can now DC charge a Q5 PHEV 2 with a maximum rate of up to 150 kilowatts accepted. What else might you need to know? Well, residual value should be pretty strong. Expect 54 to 55% of original value to be retained after the industry standard 3-year or 36,000 mile period. But Audi isn't particularly generous with its vehicle warranty. As with BMW and Mercedes, it's a 3-year policy, but unlike those other brands, Audi caps it at just 60,000 miles. You can extend that cover to 4 years or 75,000 miles, or 5 years or 90,000 miles at extra cost. As usual with Audi models, there's a choice of either a fixed or a flexible servicing regime, the choice between the two depending on the extent of your likely annual mileage. The fixed schedule is aimed at drivers covering fewer than 10,000 miles a year and includes an oil change service every 9,000 miles or every year, plus an inspection service every 19,000 miles or every 2 years. If you cover more than 10,000 miles a year, the flexible service schedule will be more appropriate. This regime, including oil change and inspection services at variable intervals of up to every 19,000 miles or every 2 years. Insurance grouping starts at 37 for the TFSI and is from Group 38 for this TDI version. The e-hybrid starts from Group 43 and it's Group 45 for the SQ5. The Q5 has always been a top seller on merit. Nothing's changed. This Mark III design is simply very good at almost everything. If you want the ultimate driver's car, or the ultimate off-roader in this sector, well, no, this probably won't be it. But is this the best all-rounder in the class? Many would say so. Are there issues? Well, we're not really convinced that the redesigned interior is a step forward from what went before. It's not especially interesting to drive, and the sliding rear bench seat should be standard on all models, and the much improved mild hybrid system still isn't quite as efficient as similar technology can deliver with rival models. Though some rivals might drive better or make more of a golf club statement, it's ultimately hard to escape the conclusion that a Q5 will simply do it better. It ticks every really important box you'd want to tick when buying a premium upper mid-sized SUV. It isn't a car for extremes, but if you're looking for the best all-round contender in this segment, it's extremely difficult to ignore. Resolutely high-tech and resolutely real-world, the Q5 remains resolutely right.